Hi, everybody. It's Angela and Steve, and we are so excited to be here. This is our big second show, number 2. So we're going to be experts by the end of this. And we started this in a conversation. I've been talking about securing the hearts of our students, securing the hearts of our teachers, of our parents, of our leaders for almost 3 decades in education. And it seems to be positioned or has been positioned in the past as a nicety, like, oh, that's really great if we secure the hearts, but education is about the heads. We've got to get their, get their heads filled with things. And we're making the case today and every day that if we don't secure the heart, we don't have a shot at their brains or their business. So now when we add to that the context of COVID, the context of everything that is happening with the returning to school, the reopening of schools, securing the heart has potential to go way, way, way down on the list. And my goal is to put it way back at the top of the list, because first and foremost, we are dealing with human beings. It doesn't matter if it's teacher to student relationship, if it's student to their families, if it's principal to teachers. Every single one of us is encountering and interacting and serving human beings. And these are conditions of being human. And we put them in an acronym of HEART to remind you that human beings that leave people better off when they found them have these traits in common. They inspire hope. They bring energy to the room, to the work, to the world. They are audacious in their thinking. They are brave and fierce and courageous, whether it is popular or whether it is easy. They put focus on not only relationships, but build in rituals to make sure that the relationship stays at the heart and the focus of everything that we do, everything that they do. And they live and speak and embody their truth. And the truth is that education is heart work, and educators come to this work and are successful and indispensable, not because of what we have in our heads, but because of what we have in our hearts. So thank you to Steve for pushing me to start this conversation globally. And I'm thrilled that all of you are here today and that you have not only brought yourselves, you've brought your whole heart. And that brings me to our guest. Steve, did you want to add anything to why we're doing this, why now, why it matters?
Oh, it's perfect.
It's perfect. I love that. I'm perfect. Far from it, but my heart is here. My whole heart is here. I received an email. Gosh, it was less than a week ago, Derrick. Can you believe that? Like a week and you're on the show. So nobody's going to email me. A week ago, I received a beautiful email. One of those emails that, touches my heart, because I see hundreds of thousands of teachers and schools and leaders and students, and I don't always get to interact with them or always get a sense of if anything that I said resonated. And Derrick, I met him, saw him 5 years ago at the TEPSA, the technology, what is the TEPSA? The
Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association for Texas. Excellent organization.
It's an excellent
Great opportunity to learn at each summer conference.
One of my absolute favorite conferences. And during my keynote, I spoke about the ritual part, the things that we have to ritualize to keep the relationships and the focus on human hearts first and foremost in schools. And Derrick wrote me and said, hey, we're trying this out. We're launching this. We're digging deep in this as we move into our reopening. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to come and talk to everybody about it as an active principal getting ready to do something audacious, something we've never done before. And the tendency is to make mattering something that is on the plate, that nobody is bothered that it's there, some sort of garnish. When my case today, and hopefully with Derrick, we're going to make the case that this is the plate. So in saying that, welcome, Derrick Conley. Is that how to pronounce your name?
That's it.
All right, Derrick Conley from Longview, Texas, right?
Longview, Texas. Yes, ma'am. Pine Tree ISD. You can probably figure out the East Texas accent right now. You've already probably got that down.
I love it. And I worked with Pine Tree. Did I work with Pine Tree about 5 years ago?
I'm not sure because this is only my third year there.
Yeah, so I think I've been doing mattering work in general in Pine Tree for a number of years. So I'm saying hi to all my Pine Tree folks, all my Texas leaders. And then Derrick, I'm going to just have you take it away.
Well, I love what you said, Angela, about heart, and I think it's awesome. Um, I mean, I'm just here today, and I hope I do a great job of representing my superintendent, Steve Cluxton, our school board, and the community, the parents, the kids of it was an awesome place of Pine Tree ISD in Longview, Texas. And we do we believe in heart. We believe in we've had an excellent transformation. I feel in the last. I know my campus, Birch Elementary, for the last. And this will be my third year there. In the last 2 years, we we have a saying that nobody's going to love kids more than we do, and we have a lot of we do a lot of things that are intentional to make that happen. Um, our primary focus is two things, and that is number one, relationships, and number two, growth. And that starts with me and throughout the building. Each person, you know, what do we do daily to help our relationships with each other? What do we do to help our relationships with kids? And then growth. You know, what did we do to help a kid grow that day? And what did we do to grow ourselves? And as we reflect on that on a daily basis, we try to incorporate things that you gave me some ideas, like you said at TEPSA, I guess it was 5 years ago. And 252 framework really is just about how we pattern. I'll talk about how we pattern each day with it, but also really it's the foundation for our framework for our entire movement. We got when I got to Birch 2 years ago. There's a lot of turnover. It's about this time of year actually. He's now hired, I think 25% of my staff after I got hired. It'd been a revolving door, and I met with each person individually in the building before the school year started, and I sensed we needed some pride. You know, you talk about you matter, and I think there's a few things that every human needs, and that's number one, to feel appreciated. And then second thing is to feel like they matter, that they're special. And then what I really wanted to do and what we have done and what I'm really proud of is all the teachers and kids in our building feel like they're a part of something much bigger than themselves. They feel like they're a part of something special. And so I really don't know how we started it, but when Mr. Cluxton, he actually brought me in 2 years ago with the superintendent, and Pine Tree had a strong reputation academically in previous years, but his motto to start out was bringing Pine Tree back, because we kind of lost our way. And so at my campus, which is about 700 students, I said that we want to bring Pine Tree back, but we're going to bring Birch first. And because I felt the need for that sense of the relationship, the connection piece was missing. So we started what we call the Birch First movement. And we're really proud of what's happened as far as the things that we do. And it all revolves around loving kids and connecting with kids. If you'd like, I kind of like to share
Derrick,
a little bit about how our day works.
yeah, before you jump into that, you have said so many profound things. I just want to highlight and break apart the importance of what you've just said in the last 3 minutes before we dig into like the logistics of it. This is an inspiration for all of us to think about as we reopen and reimagine what school's going to look like this year. This is a chance to bring forth everything that we are, to bring forth everything that brought us here in the first place, and dig back down into those core principles of the heart. It's bringing our schools back. So I love that. Bring Pine Tree back. We need to bring education at its core back. Education at its deepest level of what it was intended to, and that is to change lives and to change the world. And we cannot do that without love. Love is not an emotion. It is a verb. It is an embodiment and a commitment to specific actions. And you said that multiple times. So this framework, whether you use the framework or take what you heard from Derrick or take the frameworks I've been using and make your own, whatever it is, you need a consistent plan when you reopen to get back to where we want to be. It doesn't happen accidentally. It is work, but it is the best work in the world. So thank you. Steve, did you hear that in what Derrick was sharing too? What stood out to you?
Oh, absolutely. And Derrick, I'm super interested in how much you think, is this easier to do with younger students? You know, how do parents respond, and how do you keep that focus on relationships and growth in test-driven environments?
Actually, that really is the whole fundamental about what we do, Steve, is the fact that with our narrowed priorities and relationships and growth, we connect with kids, number one. So when we do challenge kids, and we do, I love what Angela just said about changing the world. Our mission at Birch, and you can look this up, and my mission at the last school I was at, we're changing the world. We're not just coming in to work every day. We've got a mission, and the vision is changing the world. How do we change the world? Our vision is through relationships and growth. And our core values are what we just talked about: making people feel special, making people feel like they matter, making people feel like they're appreciated. But going into assessments, I feel like I love the question, I'm blessed to be. I'm actually in expanding my role this year and helping we have 2 elementary campuses that are 1st through 4th grade. So I'll be the executive principal for both Birch, that I've been at the last 2 years, and Parkway, which is another 1st through 4th grade campus. And I know what Steve just said, my main focus, I've been in secondary education, but as a leader, I feel like I'm called to be with this age, because we can make a difference. We can impact the way kids feel about themselves. And in 1st grade through 4th grade, 1st grade is the first year these kids begin to get grades and they start feeling labels. And so it's our responsibility to make them feel special. And what we do that through an absolute focus and celebration on growth. Growth gives kids hope. I have kids every day that come up to me, and when we do assessments, and we do them periodically, they're really, honestly, we do six throughout the year, and we call them CBAs. Actually, that was, I think, the name before I even got here, curriculum-based assessment. But basically, it's a challenging assessment. And when we design these assessments, though, we design them with an implementation, an idea of growth. So when we start out, we know it's going to be challenging. So when we do our second one, we want to make it, we try to manufacture wins. We want kids to feel good about themselves. That makes each day more important, more valuable for teachers and students. A teacher likes to feel progress too. They want to see the teachers celebrate when they get the wins with the kids. But I have kids all the time after we do these assessments, and when I talk about the assessment, those days are those are the most fun days. I wish everyone in education, or outside of education even, could be in our building and feel what it feels like on one of those days. My number one goal as a leader is to just not have test anxiety. I mean, there's no reason for it. I mean, if we focus on each and every day on 2 things and instill this in our students: hard work and respect. Those 2 things, they can accomplish anything in their world. Their world can change. And so we do that. And I expect kids, I have high expectations. I have high expectations for the students in the building and the teachers, but everyone knows that I love them. And I tell them every day that I love them. And I'll get into the daily routine. But when you talk about assessment, Steve, it's routine that I'll have a kid run up to me and say, Mr. Conley, I made a 55. And they're so excited because they grew, 10 points. And we track that, and we talk about why they grew, and we want them to take ownership of their growth. And every kid can grow and learn, and that's an expectation that does not stop. And we have a mission to make that happen. Do I think I love that I'm doing this for younger ages, but what we're doing can happen on every campus. As a matter of fact, a lot of these principles I instilled in my classrooms when I was teaching freshman and sophomore English. And I feel relationships and growth, those are the 2 foundations for, I feel like, success in any educational institution.
Absolutely.
Can I say something quickly? Sorry.
Yeah, also a call out to the room, because I want to know what you're thinking. Derrick, your passion is palpable. Like, I am on fire. I can't imagine going to school in your building every day. I would run to school. just to be a part of that environment, love-filled, passion-filled, hope-filled. So Steve, go ahead, and then I want to grab somebody from the audience.
Absolutely. So Derrick, your language is somewhat religious. Meaning I hear overtones in your language, the sort of the core belief and the value of every individual. But I also hear kind of Deming, the quality guru, which is help the kids understand that the assessment is an opportunity for them to measure their own growth. And I'm curious also, do you look at the assessments as a measurement of how well you're doing as administrators and teachers? Meaning, is there a
Absolutely.
degree to which that becomes kind of part of the culture that you're
Absolutely.
creating?
Absolutely. And that we're very transparent about our accountability. I mean, if we really believe that every kid can grow and learn, then why wouldn't we expect them to grow? We design the assessments, we design the curriculum. And, we have reflections and we talk and we decide things that we need to do to change, myself included. Everything that we're doing in my system that we've done for many years is we're always evolving, but we do have some consistency that we believe in what we do and we know it works. The school that I'm at right now, our primary focus, just kind of give you some data points. This year we took, like I said, we have 6 different assessments throughout the year. 2018 was the year before I got here. We only have 3rd and 4th grade. So our state assessment and reading, we were at 58% proficiency. So we had 58% of our kids that were reading on grade level in the state of Texas exam. We gave the exact same exam the Tuesday before we left for spring break. March the 6th was our last day. We gave that exact same exam in our building. We were 80% proficiency. We still had another 2 months that we were very excited about, but we took the same exact test. In other words, 2 years later, with the same age group of kids in the same building, and we increased our proficiency 22% before we still had another 2.5 months to prepare for the same test. So we would have hoped for it had even more growth. How do we do that? Our kids work hard every day because they know we love them and they know we're connected to them. If you don't have that connection, how can you expect any lesson, any instruction to be with fidelity? You have to establish a love of a kid before they're going to know. They're not going to care what you're wanting to teach them until they know you care about them. And that's what we believe. That's our primary philosophy. We do many things throughout, as we'll talk into the 252 that I feel like incorporate that.
Grab the audience. I'm going to grab you from the audience. So somebody take the mic and I want to know what you're feeling. There's no way your heart can't be just moved by just the presence of you, Derrick. It's amazing. So someone take the mic, and what are you thinking or feeling right now? I'm going to call on you. No, I won't push. I won't do that. But really, somebody, I saw someone online or on video earlier. Just jump back on. Just grab the mic, push unmute, and just share what you're thinking right now. This is called digital wait time. No one at all. Jonathan, you spoke earlier. Can I push you to come and take the mic again and share what you're thinking as a first-time person here? Thank you. Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
Hi. No, keep laying down. It's fine. Absolutely. Bring yourself, be comfortable and share your heart. What are you thinking, Heidi?
What am I thinking? How to teach online at school in fall. What's going to happen? Inevitably, we're going to be online.
Yes.
So I guess that's the first thing I'm thinking about teaching, but the topic of teaching with heart is always good. Just bored, and it sounded good.
No, I'm glad. I'm so glad that it caught your attention. So I think our challenge will be twofold, Derrick. Let's talk about, I'll just give a quick overview of 252, if those of you that aren't familiar with it. and where it came from and why that framework. And then Derrick, share your adaptations of that at a systems level in person. And then I think together, our collective intelligence, I've been working for the last 3 months as well as you, trying to think, how do we do that? How do we transcend the technology and make those peak moments as extraordinary online when that seems to be the direction that we're heading? How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, so Heidi, thanks for joining and coming in. And anybody can pop in at any time, but if there's anything else somebody wants to say right at this moment, please join. Okay, I'll share just a little bit of what Derrick initially responded to. Is I do a lot of social research, and one of the research projects that Steve was involved in was asking 500,000 kids what would make them run to school, basically. What would make you run to school? And that's under any circumstance. What is the element? And universally, they came back and said, we want to matter. We want to matter, and we want to do work that matters. So breaking that down into what does that actually look like? So asking thousands and thousands of kids, what is the one thing that someone could do that would demonstrate to you through action and effort that you mattered to them? And when those responses came back, it was stunning, because not one did it talk about curriculum, not one said technology, not one used the word innovation, or they would follow you under a tree in a bush outside of school, that building facilities and all of that stuff. They said things like, if somebody would smile at me when I came to school, I would run to school. If somebody would say my name when I came to school, I would run to school. And when I first started seeing responses flow in like that, and the mass amount of them, I kept thinking, well, there's something wrong in the data, because my background came from elementary, and then toward the end of my career worked with higher ed. And I thought, I can't imagine not saying a child's name. But then we did an exercise called the customer's journey. It's an exercise in business where you actually take the path of the customer so that you can understand the touch points that a new customer, a returning customer feels when they have every element of the interaction, from the beginning of walking into the building to the end of sale, the follow-up. And I started recognizing that a middle school child, even younger, could go through an entire day without their name being said. They are welcomed as a group. Good morning, boys and girls. Today in science, our assignment is, good morning, boys and girls. Today in math. And we move them through. And if your name does get mentioned for something specific, it's usually because you had a question, or it's called out for not necessarily a positive reason. So kids would tell me that they could go a day, a week, a month, months and months without ever hearing their name, and that mattered to them. So I wanted to, from a human perspective, see if these things were transferable. Could you do it in elementary versus upper elementary versus college? Things, how much do things like see me, recognize me, smile at me, notice me, challenge me, acknowledge me, all of those things, how much do they transfer? Was it just an elementary thing? So I worked with the largest employee engagement network, 22,000 industries. And we did the same survey. We basically said, what would make you run to work? And we put the answers side by side. See me, smile at me, hear me, challenge me, teach me, believe in me, trust me. And so I thought, wow, we could not have more profound data. The fact that science supports human behavior under all of those. What we don't have, or didn't have at that time that I knew of, was a system to turn those common understandings and common sense into common practice. So that's what I embarked on for 5 years. So what is a framework that we could make sure and promise each and every human being, when we see so many, that they will matter, that they will be seen, that they will be heard, that their presence will not be underestimated? And what I was excited to learn is that it doesn't come down to changing your whole curriculum or changing your whole schedule. It comes down to a neuroscientific principle called primacy and recency. meaning that of all the moments in a day, of all the days in a week, there are certain peak moments that the brain and the heart respond to most. They're the moments that cement that relationship, that conversation, and most importantly, that person. And those moments can actually be wheeled down to seconds. We're actually learning that it is a matter of 2 to 20 seconds in an interaction that determines what is going to be remembered and acted upon after that. So the top peak moments in a systems day, whether that system is a classroom, whether that system is a family, whether that system is church or a restaurant or a webinar, is the first thing I asked you to do. Even if we didn't all do it, I asked you to acknowledge each other. Before I entered in the content, I said, I want you to turn to somebody in the chat room and I want you to say hi, and I want you to say their name. That was not accidental. We have to be reminded, because this is so deep in our biology, that it's not at the conscious level. We need to be reminded, especially in a busy, overwhelming world, to acknowledge each other. So in the first 2 to 20 seconds of the framework 252, it is how we greet people. It's how they feel when they are greeted, because everyone is wearing a sign. Do you see me? Do I matter to you? Am I important enough for you to get from behind your desk, or get from behind that booth, or to look up from your computer, or to give me eye contact, or to smile at me so I get a response and affirmation that my presence was something that lightened your day and brightened your day? And it takes literally seconds to do that. And the research is profound on the impact of not just the physical smile, but feeling smiled at, feeling welcomed. And we have to take time to look at strategies and build structures in place for that, because we've forgotten how to greet each other in a way that makes us feel seen and recognized. And then the last part of primacy and recency are the end. So it's like the cookie. It's the top and the bottom, how we greet people and how we leave people, that absolutely matter the most. Because what the brain does is it processes what's called the totality of an experience. So the middle actually doesn't matter. It's just filling. And for the brain, it disregards the filling, even if the filling was extraordinary. Even if the filling of the experience was Disney World and you were there all day, you will not remember what you did at 10:45 or what someone said. What you will remember and take with you in your heart is how you feel at the end of the experience. So these 2 to 20 seconds total in the day, if we can command those, if we can be deliberate about those, if we can absolutely ensure that every person in our presence feels that we paused and stopped and acknowledged, thank goodness you're here, we can start our day. Say their name, give them eye contact, make sure that even if it's not the principal going around saying it to everybody, that we create a cultural expectation to acknowledge one another. So I'll talk about the 5 after Derrick speaks, but let's, Derrick, talk about the 2 and the 2, how you greet people and how you leave people. It must be different than when our goal must be to leave people better off than when you found them. And we can do that in very profound, very, very powerful ways that are easy, but they must be intentional. So any questions about the 2 and the 2? And then we'll share how Derrick took that and made it a system-wide expectation as a leader. So anybody have any questions in the chat just about the logistics of the framework? All right, Derrick, take it away, and thanks for letting me set the stage for that, because it'll make more sense. What you're doing is going to be even more profoundly received.
I just love listening to what you said, because it just matches. I mean, everything that you're talking about matches my beliefs and our philosophy at Birch. And it's, I'd like to break down too. I like the question about how we're going to start this year later, but I'll be specific about our day. When we get to school, we have basically 2 entrances in the building. And from when the day begins, we have the same people that help kids. We open the door for cars. and I'm out there. There's 2 entrances, so it's about half an hour. So I break it down with my other leaders, and we'll rotate. So that way I'm at the same opportunity to greet every kid, because I feel like the day doesn't start when the bell starts. It starts as soon as they get off the curb, and we want those kids to feel love from that moment. And so on both entrances, one of the things that we do is a little bit different. One of my nicknames is DJ DC, because we incorporate music. I feel like music makes people relax. It makes our kids feel good. And so we have little mini speakers. Cost us, a little bit over a couple $100 each. What a great investment it's been, though, because those kids, when they, and you can acknowledge too, the beginning of the day, the 2, is a reference, and we look at the 2 as being the first 2 minutes, but it's really more than just the 2 minutes. It's about acknowledging people and making them feel special. So as I greet every kid, there is a change, and I love the question, because I tell the kids at the first of the year, for me, every day you got a choice of one of 3 things. You're either going to give me a high five, you're going to give me a handshake, or you're going to give me a hug. Most of them are hugs, to be honest. So that's one thing that's going to have to change a little bit. But we actually started summer school yesterday, and I'm doing elbow bumps, and so with every kid. And so, but every kid, they will not walk by me without that, and they expect it. They'll wait on me to make sure they get it if they don't get it, if I'm with another kid. But it's about acknowledging. And then I go into the first, as I walk from one station to the other, and this is everybody. I mean, all our people in the building, we have the same people that greet the kids. They have rituals they have with them. I mean, we got one of our instructional coaches has a little kid. This will be his 3rd year with us. And he gets out of the car and he tries to race her to the front door. They race every day. I mean, we're about fun. We want the energy in the building to be positive. You said the word energy as far as heart. When I go to the back of the building, I greet every 1st and 2nd grader. Our kids are already reading. They start reading as soon as they walk in the building. I challenge them. They want to feel part of something special. I say, hey, nobody reads more than us. Nobody loves reading more than us. We knew that was a deficiency. We've closed that gap through a love of reading. When I come through, I greet all the 1st and 2nd graders, and I go back and greet with a chant with the 1st, the 3rd, and 4th, and I go to the other building and do the same thing in the back. And it's every day. But then when our day starts, we like to say our bell rings at 7:35. We like to say we do more before 8 o'clock than most schools do all day, because we have what I call, and you have to be nominated for this, but we'll have a hike crew. So we got what we started modeling for the kids, they start doing for each other. So they ask if they can be on the hike crew. So we got a couple stations where kids are greeting kids. They do chants. They do, and every day they'll do something different. They have a little dance that when I come by, they'll show it to me. But then they get on the announcements. And I feel like, we're dealing with the kids we're a Title I campus. We have about 70% economically disadvantaged students. So our kids need to feel some structure. They need to feel and that's what we're so excited about just yesterday with summer school. But when the day starts, there's an expectation. We call it BFF. We've got our shirt, Birch First Family, and the BFF hike crew gets up and they'll come up with a chant every day. And on the announcements before I start, we'll do the pledges. And then after we do the pledges and a moment of silence, then every day there's an expectation to work. We do a math drill on Monday and Thursday, reading time, silent reading time on Thursday, Tuesday, and Friday, and then Wednesdays are writing. But we try to accomplish everything. And I'll start the drill on the PA system, and I walk around to I try to walk by each classroom. We got about 700 kids, so it's a way for me to get my little daily exercise in. But I go get that, and I want the kids to see me. I want the teachers to see me. And then I close out the drill. And when I close the drill every day, you said love. And I love that Angela's got that right behind her. I think that's a big part of our message. But I let every kid know that I love them. I tell them I love the Birch First family. I love every one of you. And let's have a great day. Because they may not hear that from anybody else, but they're going to hear it from me every day. And so, yeah.
I'm gonna share just a little bit. If there's anybody ask a little bit, if there's anybody in the room because I'm doing a little pushback. I'm playing a devil's advocate. Well, that's great because you're in elementary school. That's great because you're an elementary principal, but I'm a high school principal, this is my situation. So I want to continue to bring back the biology of this framework. This is not a framework based on ideology. It's a framework based on biology. The need to be seen, the need to be appreciated and valued, and understand that you're heard and essential are human conditional needs, as critical as food, water, shelter, and air. And you need water as a 5-year-old as much as you need it as a bigger than 5-year-old. So do I have anybody in the audience that has a different group that they might have questions or ideas about? What does this look like at high school, or what does it look like in whatever situation that you're in? Anybody want to grab the mic for that and respond? No high school teachers, no one that works with non-elementary kids? I'll just look in the chat. Maybe I can pick on somebody from looking in the chat. Come on, you guys, we need your voice. We do. You don't want to just hear me keep talking.
Or me.
We definitely want to hear you keep talking, but I really want, like,
I really want, can I add to this?
absolutely.
My last opportunity to teach in the classroom, I was teaching English as a second language learners in basically, I think about 90% of my kids they'd been in the United States less than 1 year. That was what I spent my entire day. Very school based in poverty, or at least the kids that I was teaching were in 100% poverty, 100% of them. A lot of them were with their moving to the United States and living with uncles. I mean, they didn't have homes. They didn't have a regular exceptional structure at home. And every one of those kids loved, like you just mentioned, Angela, the things that we do, that I'm doing, we do as a campus, we do in the classroom, and I'll break down that in just a minute, but the things that we did as far as acknowledging kids and letting them know you care about them and love them, they not only fed from it, they loved learning with us. And so the age, yeah, I mean, my kids, I mean, I get a lot of hugs. I mean, I feel like a rock star most days, I'll be honest. It's probably one of the greatest jobs in the world, but you can have that same love for kids no matter what age, no matter.
Right.
It's not about the kids either, Angela. It's about how you treat the teachers. In our building, it's not just about the kids. When you think about relationships, we think about the people. Everybody at Birch First matters. Whether you're answering the phone, or you're cleaning the restrooms, or you're cooking breakfast, we take pride in what we do, and they matter. And it's just about relationships and connecting with them and making them feel appreciated too. It's not just about the kids. When people start feeling the connection, it doesn't just resonate with the kids and how I treat the kids. The teachers start treating the kids, like I mentioned earlier, the kids treating each other with respect. We go back to our philosophy, respect.
That's right.
Hard work and respect, and then there's an expectation there, but that happens through love.
You don't realize the trickle-down effect or the contagion effect. When an individual feels invisible, they may take it in at the subconscious level, at the cell level of what it feels like, and it's cumulative. So you might have an experience where you felt overlooked or invisible one day, and then it happens the next day, until you live up to that and you live into that, and you stop speaking and you hesitate and you hold in all that you can be. On the flip side, when you feel acknowledged, when you feel valued, you just want to spread that like wildfire. You just want to make sure that you let everyone else know the impact they made. So Derrick's letter to me, which was 5 years ago when we connected, I started looking at an email that I sent you 5 years ago. And when you were first asking about the framework, and I wrote back, and I was so moved that, like, it's exciting to me to know that something resonated to the point that you've taken action on it. I reached out to 3 more people this week and made sure that they knew that what I heard from them, what they shared with me, even if it was years ago, still impacts me today. So it is a contagion of hope and inspiration that we are in the presence of one another every day. That's what matters. When you go to school, it's who you get to do this work with. And you're willing to do really hard stuff, really boring stuff, because of who you get to do it with. And we need to take that common sense and again, have a framework, whether it's 252, or I'm going to have Derrick talk about his launch time, their adaptation of 252, having a framework where this is what, like brushing your teeth and eating breakfast, like you have a schedule for a reason, so you don't skip your essential needs. We need to have a mattering schedule every day so that it becomes a part of our culture. It's not an event, or it's not on a special occasion, that we put that into our routines. I heard somebody coming in to the talk. Do we have a speaker? Do we have a viewer? Dang, I'm gonna get you guys to talk. It's gonna kill me if you don't share your voice. It is. I'm gonna be so sad. No one? Yes. Yes.
Hi. I totally agree with what you're saying. I work at the public library, and we deal with the homeless and all different walks of people. And I always make sure that I greet each person, treat each person with respect. And then working at the 2 school libraries, it can be tiring sometimes, but I make sure I listen to each of the children, because I know that they don't always get that attention all the time. So I love what you guys are saying.
This is emotional, isn't it? I can feel how deep this affects in your voice. Like 2 seconds of our day, I've like got goosebumps thinking about it. It is.
I love what Andrea is saying. I love Andrea, but I want to say that I think that's not enough time in education. One of my goals is to make sure everybody feels like they matter, because everybody makes a difference. I mean, you never know what one conversation could make such a difference with anybody. Any child, any human being. We're all dealing with issues. We need connection. We need each other. And education, working in public education, working in a public library is a tough position. It's a challenge. And why not share love with each other? And it doesn't have to be. If I can kind of talk a little bit about and answer, I think I'll answer some of the questions. I think maybe about the online version, but
I'm just telling you that we see you. I'm so grateful that you shared your heart with us, your voice with us. That was very vulnerable, and I'm sending you love through this screen. I know Derrick is too. So.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Wow.
Please keep changing the world and making a difference, Andrea, with those people in your library.
Absolutely. Derrick, go ahead.
Okay, so you mentioned the first 2 minutes, and I went over kind of how we start the day. But then inside each classroom, we have, before we do anything academic, we call it our engage time. So we dedicate moments to just getting to know kids, like sharing what happened last night. I mean, and it's amazing to me, and you can feel this, how much kids love sharing and talking, and how much when you start doing it, they expect it. Like, I mean, and I model this, like in any time we have a team meeting, a staff meeting, a faculty meeting, we do the same thing. I mean, we're about people first. So we got to talk and, hey, what's going on? What happened this weekend? Let's spend a few minutes taking care of each other. And then we've already got a connection. There's a positive energy. So we call that engage. So within the first 2 minutes, but it can be more. I mean, it can be 10, 15 minutes, whatever it takes. But I think every school talks about relationships, but we want to be different. We incorporate it in our schedule. So we have a block called engage to start the day. Angela talked about memories happening in concepts. I don't know if I learned this from Angela. I don't know where I learned it, but I've learned that the children, the 3 most important parts of their day are when they wake up in the morning, when they go to bed, and when they come home from school. So we're in control for a couple of those. When they start their day, we want them to feel loved and feel appreciated. And when they leave, the last 2 minutes of our day, we call launch. So, the first day is a group, and it can match the teacher's personality. If it can be a journal entry, if you're, whatever's comfortable for you, but do something to let those kids talk and you connect with them. And that also is how we start our day like that, but we also start our year like that. I don't think enough teachers feel like you've got to get to know the kids. Number one, let them get to know you. I think sometimes that's really hard for teachers to open up and share about themselves. And then the other thing is letting them get to know each other so they feel like a family. And And another thing that Andrea just brought up, and I talk about people being difference makers. Every teacher is a leader. You establish, you know, and in the question earlier about online, hey, we can make online great. It's up to us. It's how we lead that charge. We have to come up with some concepts to be more intentional and how we connect with people. But you can do that, and we've done some things already, and we've got some great ideas going forward. But ending the day with the launch, we match it again to the teacher's personality. But some of it's a chant. We talk about whatever the room is. We've got videos. I can share them with you, Angela, if you want to see. But some amazing things that are just happen. But we just want those kids to feel a part of love and a part of something when they leave our building. Because once they get in that car, again, like Angela talked about, memories happen. And the first thing almost every parent's going to ask the kid, hey, how was your day? And if they feel good about themselves when they walk into that car, all of a sudden, not only do they feel a little bit better, that memory, but now the parents, and we've built a connection with the parents, and they feel loved, they feel like their child was taken care of. And now we need that more than ever, like we started with our program. We want kids to feel not only physically safe, but emotionally safe. And we have that challenge and responsibility. So to sum it up, we engage time at the beginning is a group family meeting. And at the end, it's some kind of launch. It can be a chant. It can be sharing what was positive through your day. To end it, hey, what was great? What did you learn? What happened today? But we want to make everybody feel good and part of something special when they leave at the end of the day.
And it doesn't, for teachers that might be worried, like, well, this is a lot of time. The onus is on everyone. The onus isn't just on the principal or the teacher. So what Derrick calls launch or engage, we called show and tell in the kindergarten classroom. We started every day in a circle and ended every day. Well, it takes some time to have 25 5-year-olds in a reasonable, even when it's efficient, to share what they need to share. So you get more efficient. So having somebody turn and say to their neighbor or give them a fist bump, when you have a procedure that has the onus of everyone acknowledging and recognizing. So this is one way you can do it at scale. We call it wow moments, sharing wow moments. So wow stands for worthy of the world. So at the end of the day, our reflection is, what was your wow moment today? And the key word is moment. It's not a big lesson. It's not a big production. It's not something extraordinary. It's these miracle moments that we have, these micro interactions with each other. And it could be, well, somebody helped me, get up the stairs, or I dropped a book, or a new friend smiled at me, or I sat at a different table at lunch, or whatever it is. And we're having kids tweet their wow moments. We're having parents share their wow moments, to now it's a part of, like, we had people over this weekend because I asked my family, asked my kids. Then I start hearing, they're like, oh, do you want to know my wow moment? I'm like, yes, I want to know your wow moment. So it's amazing, no matter when I ask about the wow moments, sharing a picture off your phone, that all the images on your phone are examples of wow moments. They're a moment in time where you asked time to stand still and you wanted to capture it. So however you do it, you can do it digitally. You can do it in 140 characters. You can do it by whispering in someone's ear. You can do it as a launch chant or a song, as Derrick said. The point is that you do it. 252 is the routine. It is the agenda. It is not a nicety. This is a biological human necessity, and we can fulfill it every single day. And whatever happens in the middle, stuff's going to happen. But what matters most is how you feel at the end of that experience. I have a message in the chat. So Derrick, somebody's asking in the chat, what books have influenced you?
Well, I think I credit a couple things, like you mentioned, structure. And when I was in the classroom, Harry Wong, first days of school, having a set structure, but then incorporating that with really the training I've had is Capturing Kids' Hearts, flipping group, and they are phenomenal. I'm excited that right now our both of our campuses are being trained on this.
Right.
And it's like I just, something Angela said just kind of touched me too. The things that we're talking about education and classroom, but it's really encompasses your entire structure of your life, and making people feel appreciated, doing things that are intentional. But Capturing Kids' Hearts is really the philosophy is what we mentioned earlier, is kids don't know, they don't care what you know until they know you care. And so just being really intentional and about how we begin and start our days, things that we do, how we know that we're the leaders in the classroom. And so how do we handle and be proactive and handle situations that may occur? 'Cause, we're dealing with human beings. There's going to be conflicts within a family. And so how do you resolve those conflicts? And so I would accredit those two things are probably my biggest. But then I guess seeing Angela a few years ago kind of it was a big deal for me, because we're still talking right here 5 years later, and I'm really excited about expanding this to another campus. And really, and today when you asked me to do this, I'm really excited because I feel like you said it in the conversation that we had, simple things. It's crazy. It's like simple things that we do, but that can really be profound and make a difference and change the world. And I'm so proud to represent my campus and the things that we're doing. And it's not about me. It's about everybody and the love that we have for our kids in our building.
Derrick, you should feel so proud. This is the leader that you want to work for. This is a leader you want to lead with. This is the contagion that I'm talking about when we lead by our hearts. Last chance, someone in the room. I want to take the last few minutes. Do you have a question for Derrick? Do you have a response, a thought, something that resonated? Do you want to take the mic and just share what your heart's thinking right now? Come on, you guys. You got to take the mic. Derrick has just shared his whole heart. Come on, what are you thinking? Steve, any last words? Any thoughts?
I'm just deeply appreciative and grateful for Derrick, who you are and what you're doing. Just kind of awestruck at the culture you've built. And I'm really curious as to, I guess if you have a minute, I'm really curious as to how do you perpetuate that kind of a culture, knowing that oftentimes it's leader specific, and how do you grow other leaders who can continue on if you were to move away or get hit by a bus?
Great question, Steve. Great way to end.
Well, I think it's something that like in today, just being able to share with you guys, I hope, I feel like some of the things that we do are just like we mentioned, they're so, it could be simple things that you can learn and share. I'm excited right now because I am going to have, I have another principal, Melanie Cowan at Parkway, and then Sharon Smith, who's been my assistant principal at Birch. They're awesome. We have a great team. We have assistant principals, Daniel Stewart at Birch and Donald Patrick at Parkway. And then we have 2 instructional coaches, Robin Best and Caroline Eves at Parkway, and Crystal Massey and Amy Cluxton. And we're all in, but we talked about earlier, I want everybody to feel like in our building like a leader and model what we do to them all the time. And again, just simple things about making people feel important. I'd like to talk too about, we went into the daily routine, but I feel like every year, some things that we do that are a little bit different. And I think it may answer the question earlier about maybe helping some people as far as online. I write a handwritten letter to every kid in the building, welcome them to the first day of school, or meet the teacher night, or a first day of school. And I ask teachers to do the same thing with the kids on their roster. It doesn't have to be handwritten from them, but that's just what I choose to do. But then I also ask the teachers to welcome kids, because I feel like, life is about moments like we mentioned earlier. And if we can make people feel special and feel important from the first impression, first impressions, we all talk about in business how important first impressions are. So I ask the teachers to memorize, try to find pictures, and all conversations have to be positive, but find pictures that let them memorize their name. So make a kid, call them by name on meet the teacher night on the first day of school. It's hard for me to do that with now 1,500 kids, but if every kid doesn't know, if I try to learn every kid's name, most of them believe that I do know their names, but at least I know that they're going to know me, because I want to be visible, and so they all know who I am. And your question about growing people, I just think through the things that we do and model that seem simple but can be profound, I think, and really inspiring people to understand that leadership is within them, and they can have, they can be leaders by inspiring people. Inspire rather than require. Don't model. Be a part of the team and lead the team. Be out in front. And I want to be. I want the leaders around me to grow by witnessing how I interact with others and modeling that. And I hope that resonates. I hope I can share the things that we do with others, and not just at Pine Tree ISD, because it's great for kids. Kids deserve it. Kids deserve to feel loved and special.
Well, we want to invite Derrick, and we want to invite all of you, and this is in the works. Derrick, I'm just organizing an event for about 1,000 teachers 1,000 principals in North Dakota, across the state, and going to make the case. I'm probably going to ask you to come in and just meet them, but make the case that this isn't just a thing on the plate. Just because it is a simple interaction doesn't mean it's not important. And to reframe and reprioritize mattering as not just one agenda, but the agenda that we build the rest of the goods on the plate from is a hard pull. But hearing principals like you and seeing the impact, you're like, God, why wouldn't we do this? So we're creating, Steve and I, a network where leaders can share the practices, the actions that they're taking, the videos. Like I'm dying to see your launch chants. And so we're going to fill that with resources, but more importantly, fill it with contagious, passionate, loving leaders like yourself, so that on the days where you don't feel like you can deliver inspiration, that you can fill your own heart so that you're ready to go out the next day. And so we're crafting that community right now, and we'll get you details for it. And within that, we'll put the resources today. So Derrick, if you can email me the videos and all of that stuff, we'll get that in our community and get that shared. And
I'd just like to add too, I know we have a lot of Andrea Maiers works with our social media and our Pine Tree Birch Elementary Facebook page. If you can just go back and see, and the things that the Pine Tree ISD has done during this pandemic they're phenomenal. Our district, Jack Irvin, and our transportation and our food service, 210,000 meals were delivered to our kids at 94 different locations. Our food service and just dropping off food to kids. Like I said from the beginning, it starts with Steve Cluxton, our school board, but we love kids here, and we love them more than anybody else, and we're going to do what we can to help. And the pandemic is how we approach it, and we're gonna do the best we can to make sure our kids feel special and loved. And they need us now really more than ever, because it's hard for us to check on them. It's hard for us to know what's going on inside their daily lives, and we don't get to see them on a regular basis and be able to match those emotional needs. So it's up to us to be the ones that outreach for them. But I'm just so thankful, Angela, that you reached out to me for this, and Steve, and I really want to continue this and just help other kids, other places. I mean, school's about connecting with it's about we're all humans, and how do we make people feel like they matter? Angela Maiers, what you've done, you've inspired me and many others, but I definitely want to continue to share with what we do, because it helps kids and it helps teachers. And when teachers and kids love each other, that's when special things happen, and they're happening at Birch First right now, and they're happening in Pine Tree ISD.
Yep. So everyone in the chat, do this. Put your wow moment from today's conversation. Your wow moment, just stick it in the chat and let us know, because it is worthy of the world, what you're thinking, how you're feeling right now. That's how we stay contagious. So Derrick, I will leave the day by you sharing your wow moment, and we'll go out with that. So your wow moment, Derrick.
My wow moment is just like, this is like my first ever podcast, and I'm sitting here with Angela Maiers and Steve. I'm just really excited. I hope we continue this connection. I think when I look behind in the 5 for positive affirmations, I just want to thank you. I want to thank all you do, asking me to be here, but sit behind you, having the love It's obvious that you have that passion for people and for kids, Angela, and I appreciate that. And my other wow moment is I learned in my notes here, I wrote down, I couldn't remember the terminology here, but primacy and recency. So I learned something today that I'm really excited about. I can share that.
Excellent. So yes, I love the word launch too. Steve, do you want to share a wow moment? And we'll see if anybody else wants to. And I just want to thank you for being here, every single one of you. I see you. I value you, and the world needs you. So thank you for spending this hour with us.
Yes, and I particularly love relationships and growth. Just such a good encapsulation. And Angela and I have talked about teaching by heart, leading by heart, and parenting by heart. And Derrick, you're certainly leading by heart.
Yes, you are. Full embodiment in every essence of the word. So thank you, everybody, from the bottom of my heart to yours. And we will keep learning, we will keep leading, we will keep growing, and we will keep spreading this as the new contagion, one that I hope goes pandemic, but not with that word. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
And Derrick,